The snow was falling heavily on the Danube frontier, and the Roman legions stood weary. After years of war, in the imperial tent, a man sat quietly, not sharpening a sword or shouting orders, but writing in a small notebook. His words were not about conquest or glory, but about life, virtue, and the fleeting nature of power. That man was Marcus Aurelius, Rome's philosopher-king, a ruler who balanced absolute authority with deep humility. His reign was filled with challenges, plague, invasions, betrayal, but he became remembered not for cruelty or excess, but for wisdom. He left behind not only victories but also timeless reflections known today as meditations, a guide to living with courage and integrity. This is the story of a boy who grew into an emperor, a man who lived by philosophy while ruling the greatest empire on earth. Marcus Aurelius was born on April 26, 121 CE. In Rome, his original name was Marcus Annius Verus, and he belonged to a wealthy, influential family. His father died when Marcus was only 3, leaving his mother Domitia Lucilla to raise him. From the start, Marcus was different from other children, was serious, thoughtful, and uninterested in luxury. He preferred studying philosophy, reading, and reflecting rather than games or lavish feasts. A family friend noticed these traits and introduced him to philosophy. Soon Marcus began living a life of discipline, even as a boy wearing simple clothes, sleeping on a hard bed, and dedicating himself to self-control. As a young man, Marcus came under the guidance of some of the greatest minds of the time, studied rhetoric with Herodotus Atticus, one of the most famous orators, and philosophy with Junius Rusticus, who introduced him to Stoicism. Marcus was deeply influenced by Stoic thought, the belief that virtue, wisdom, and reason are the highest goods, and that one should endure life's challenges calmly. He admired philosophers more than politicians and longed for a life of study. But fate had something greater in store. Rome at this time was ruled by Emperor Hadrian, an intelligent but often harsh man. Hadrian saw something in young Marcus. He'd first arranged for his heir Antoninus Pius to adopt Marcus into the imperial family. In 138 CE, Antoninus Pius became emperor, and Marcus was adopted as his son and future successor. Marcus took on new names: Marcus Aurelius, Aurelius Verus, later simplified to Marcus Aurelius. Though now destined for the throne, Marcus did not abandon philosophy. Instead, he prepared to combine wisdom with leadership. For more than 2 decades, Marcus served under his adoptive father Antoninus. The reign of Antoninus Pius was relatively peaceful, and Marcus learned by observing. Antoninus ruled with patience, justice, and restraint. From him, Marcus learned that true power was not in domination, but in fairness and stability. Meanwhile, Marcus continued his philosophical studies, wrote notes to himself, practiced humility, and lived modestly, even as heir to the throne. In 145 CE, Marcus married Faustina the Younger, the daughter of Antoninus Pius. Their marriage produced many children, at least 13 in total, though tragically many did not survive infancy. His family life was filled with both joy and heartbreak. Marcus often reflected on the fragility of life, reminding himself that death was natural and to be accepted with dignity. Despite personal losses, he remained devoted to his duties as both father and emperor. In 161 CE, Antoninus Pius died, and Marcus Aurelius ascended to the throne. He insisted on sharing power with his adoptive brother, Lucius Verus, marking one of the few times Rome had 2 emperors. Marcus could have ruled alone, but his decision reflected his humility and sense of duty. Together, they faced immediate challenges. Soon after Marcus took power, the eastern frontier erupted in war with Parthia. Lucius Verus took command while Marcus stayed in Rome to govern. Though victorious, the returning soldiers brought with them a devastating plague, known as the Antonine Plague, which ravaged the empire for years. Millions perished, weakening Rome and testing Marcus's leadership. While the plague struck, Rome also faced barbarian invasions along the Danube frontier. Germanic tribes and others pressed into Roman territory, forcing Marcus to spend much of his reign in military campaigns. Despite poor health, Marcus personally led his armies. He endured harsh winters with his soldiers, writing his meditations during moments of solitude on campaign. To the soldiers, he was not just a commander, but a companion, sharing their hardships and reminding them that discipline and virtue mattered, even in war. Unlike other emperors who craved power, Marcus sought wisdom. He did not see himself as above others, but as a man given temporary responsibility. In his meditations he wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." His notes were never intended for publication. They were reminders to himself to remain humble, just, and resilient in the face of suffering. Marcus faced many difficulties: wars, plague, betrayal, and family troubles. His beloved wife Faustina died in 175 CE while traveling with him. Rumors accused her of infidelity, but Marcus defended her honor. He also faced rebellion. A general named Avidius Cassius declared himself emperor, believing Marcus had died. When the rebellion failed, Marcus chose mercy, refusing to punish Cassius's family. This act showed his commitment to clemency, even toward traitors. By the late 170s, Marcus was weary. Years of war and illness had drained him, but he continued to fight on Rome's frontiers. He prepared his son Commodus to succeed him, though many feared the young man lacked his father's wisdom. Marcus, however, believed in duty and dynastic continuity. In 180 CE, while on campaign in modern-day Vienna, Marcus fell gravely ill. He summoned his son, gave final advice, and accepted death calmly, as a Stoic philosopher would. On March 17, 180 CE, Marcus Aurelius died. The soldiers wept, and Rome mourned the loss of its philosopher king. Marcus Aurelius was remembered as one of the 5 good emperors, the last in a line of rulers who brought stability to Rome. His meditations became a timeless guide, admired by leaders, scholars, and ordinary people for centuries. Unlike many rulers whose names are remembered for blood and cruelty, Marcus's legacy endures through wisdom and humility. Facts about Marcus Aurelius. He originally wanted to be a philosopher, not an emperor. He often slept on a simple camp bed, even as emperor. He shared power with his adoptive brother Lucius Verus, an unusual arrangement in Rome. No, he personally wrote meditations in Greek, not Latin. His reign saw one of the deadliest plagues in Roman history. He was the first emperor to face Germanic tribes deeply inside Roman territory. He preferred plain clothes and disliked excessive luxury. He once pardoned a man who plotted against him. His face is one of the most recognized and Roman art statues of him still survive in Rome today. Marcus Aurelius's life reminds us that greatness is not measured only by power, but by wisdom and character. He ruled the mightiest empire of his age, yet saw himself as a servant of reason and virtue. Where others sought immortality through conquest, Marcus found it through philosophy. His words, written quietly in moments of solitude, outlived empires and continued to inspire millions today. He faced death without fear, hardship without despair, and power without arrogance. Marcus Aurelius teaches us that true strength lies not in domination, but in self-mastery. And so, the philosopher king lives on, not in marble statues or forgotten battles, but in the eternal wisdom of his thoughts.